Sometimes all it takes is a single moment. Just a few seconds, and your whole world shifts. Jack walking away, that was my moment. The neon lights flickered against my skin, casting cold, sharp shadows across the parking lot. I just stood there, my hand on the car door. My breath caught in my throat. Jack's silhouette faded into the night, and I didn't move. I didn't scream his name. I didn't chase after him. I just froze. Because if I did, if I ran after him, I'd have to face the truth. And the truth was, I had no idea why he left. I knew what my father was capable of. I knew what Jack could do too. But Jack leaving? That I didn't see coming. I forced myself to move, slipping into the driver's seat, gripping the steering wheel so tight my knuckles turned white. My makeup was smudged, streaked down my cheeks, but I couldn't care less. My mind was screaming. Why? I grabbed my phone. My fingers shook as I dialed his number. Straight to voicemail. I called again. Still nothing. A sharp breath left my lips as I slammed my palm against the wheel. Damn it, Jack. He couldn't just walk away. Not like this. Unless he wasn't running at all. My foot pressed against the gas, tires screeching as I sped off into the night. My heart pounded, my pulse in my throat. Something wasn't right. This isn't over. I swear I could still feel him. Like he was right there, his scent lingering in the air, that low, steady presence of his that always made me feel like nothing could touch me. Like no matter what happened, I'd be safe. But he wasn't here. He left. And my body was caught between rage and panic. The city blurred past me as I drove, neon lights streaking like war paint across my windshield. My pulse was pounding in my ears, my thoughts tangled, but one thing was clear, I wasn't going home. Jack didn't just leave for no reason. I didn't know what his plan was, but I knew my father. He didn't take no for an answer. If Jack thought walking away would protect me, he was dead wrong. That wasn't how my family worked. I had to find him. I sped through the streets, gripping the wheel so tight my fingers ached. I wasn't even sure where I was going until I found myself in front of an old warehouse near the docks. The kind of place where things happen that never made the news. A place where my father's men cleaned up his messes. I barely had time to kill the engine before the first figure stepped out of the shadows. You lost, sweetheart? I recognized him instantly, Marco, one of my father's favorite attack dogs. Tall, built like a boulder, a cocky smirk on his face that I'd seen too many times before. He wasn't here by accident. I forced a breath, sliding out of the car, keeping my chin up. I wouldn't let them see my fear. Where is he? I asked, my voice sharp, cutting through the night. Marco's smirk deepened. Who? I clenched my jaw. Don't play dumb with me. He took a slow step forward, his boots crunching against the gravel. You mean your little vigilante boyfriend? He chuckled. You don't need to worry about him, princess. He's out of the picture. The way he said it. The way his eyes glinted under the dim light. Something inside me snapped. Before I could think, my hand flew, a sharp, stinging slap cracking against his face. The smirk was gone. Marco's jaw tensed, but he didn't react the way I expected. He didn't grab me. He didn't shove me back. He just laughed. Yeah, you're definitely his girl. My stomach twisted. This was bad. Jack was in trouble. And now, so was I. The second Marco laughed, I knew I had walked into something I couldn't control. He tilted his head, rolling his jaw like he was deciding whether to be amused or annoyed. I didn't flinch. I wouldn't. Not in front of him. Brave, he muttered, rubbing his cheek where I slapped him. Stupid, but brave. I lifted my chin, ignoring the cold sweat creeping down my spine. I asked you a question. His smirk returned, but this time it was darker. And I answered. Jack's out of the picture. I clenched my fists so hard my nails dug into my palms. Lies. If my father had gotten rid of Jack, he would have made sure I knew. He would have used it to break me. Marco was stalling. That meant Jack was still out there. Still breathing. The thought sent a surge of adrenaline through my veins. Where is he? I demanded again, stepping forward. Marco didn't move. He just sighed, like he was getting bored. You always were your father's little princess, always thinking you could play in his world. He reached into his jacket pocket, pulling out a phone. Let me show you how wrong you are. My stomach clenched as he tapped the screen. A video loaded. And then, Jack. Blood on his temple. Hands bound behind his back. Kneeling on a concrete floor, his breathing heavy but steady. A shadow moved behind him. And then a voice. Deep. Familiar. Unforgiving. My father. I told you to disappear, Mr. Harlow. Jack didn't move. Didn't even look up. But his lips curved. That damn smirk. The one that always meant he was 2 steps ahead. Guess I'm bad at taking orders. The screen went black. Every nerve in my body went rigid. I turned to Marco, my vision sharp, my pulse pounding in my skull. Where is he? Marco smiled. Let's take a ride, princess. The car ride was silent. Not because I didn't have questions. Not because Marco wasn't enjoying himself, tapping his fingers against the wheel like he was listening to a song only he could hear. But because my mind was running too fast. Jack was alive. For now. My father had him. And I had no idea what he was planning to do. Marco pulled the car into an underground parking garage, the tires screeching against the concrete as he braked hard. My door unlocked with a soft click. I didn't move. He sighed, leaning closer, his voice dropping. Don't make me drag you. I clenched my jaw and stepped out, my heels clicking against the floor. The air was thick with the smell of oil and damp cement. Cold. Empty. And then I saw them. 2 men standing by an elevator. Suit. Armed. My father's men. A sharp knot formed in my stomach. This was real. The elevator doors slid open. Marco motioned me inside, stepping in behind me. As soon as the doors shut, he turned to me, his grin returning. You ready to see how this ends? I didn't answer. But I was. Because I wasn't here to watch. I was here to burn it all down. The doors opened into a dimly lit hallway. Expensive carpet. A long oak table in the center of the room. My father stood at the far end, hands folded neatly in front of him. And to his right, Jack. He was on his knees, hands tied, bruised, but his green eyes locked onto mine instantly. Steady, sharp, alive. I took a step forward, but my father raised a hand. Not yet. His voice was calm, too calm, like he was discussing stocks instead of a man he wanted dead. You never listen, Lena. He sighed, shaking his head. I told you to leave this alone. My breath hitched, my nails digging into my palms. Let him go. Marco chuckled behind me. You hear that, boss? She thinks she's calling the shots. Jack's smirk twitched. That's the thing about Lena. His voice was rough, but controlled. She doesn't just think she's in charge. She is. My father's jaw tightened. And just like that, I saw it. The shift. The moment the game changed. This wasn't about me anymore. This was about control. My father was losing it. And he knew it. So he did the only thing he could do. He pulled out a gun, pointed it at Jack, and fired. Bang. The sound shattered through the room. My heart stopped. My body locked. And then, Jack moved. Fast. Too fast. The ropes on his wrist snapped. The chair behind him crashed to the ground. The bullet, I didn't even see where it went. Because suddenly Jack wasn't kneeling anymore. He was standing. Moving. A blur of blackened motion. Marco swore. My father stumbled back. And Jack? Jack was coming straight for him.
Jack may be here, maybe right next to you.